And we're live.
All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of the HarHar Podcast. I'm your host, Orky Dev, joined by Eclectic and Shriekhouse, also known as Jim and Steven,
Howdy, howdy.
if we're not using our superhero names.
We don't talk about that.
All right.
So, how's everyone's week been?
It's a mix of emotions. Everything's so far, so it's okay, but it's a lot of horrible news, yeah.
Yes, just lots of horrible news. It's easiest way to say it, honestly. And dealing with people who just don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
I've seen
think
you
that's
been doing
the
that.
rough part.
You've been doing that a lot lately.
I'm just tired of dealing with. What's the best way to put it? What's the politest way to put it?
There is no polite way, just dealing with
yeah.
idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Especially
Constant.
when you're like, I've had respect for them. I know them personally in one way or another.
Some of them are family members.
Yeah.
Why you be like this?
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah,
just don't make sense. And like other stuff, like the whole all of Twitch drama going on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that too. I don't know how I forgot about it. I guess there's just so much going on this week that it's crazy that you forget that a lot of people were banned or a lot of people were accused or
Well, on top of that, like there was the whole cycle of the charity allegations that happened too.
Oh yeah, and that's not great either.
With XQC and then with Dr. Lupo, them talking about it, them coming to an understanding. But he also was a dick to other people, XQC.
I'm not surprised.
No, neither am I. But then Ninja and Jessica get involved. Then Alinity D shows up and they tell her off. But then eventually they all apologize to her because like, hey, that wasn't exactly fair.
Well, I think it's because of what happened with Wreckful, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing. They just realized that you don't know. You
Yeah,
don't know what
exactly.
your words could do.
And then freaking like now, Keem immediately being Keem, dives in on her.
Boxing.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Well, I just like that dude pisses me off on so many levels. It's not
He's
even
a
funny.
scavenger. That's the thing. It's mainly that's how he makes his money, right? Is to accuse or it's drama. That's it. Drama alert. That's what it is. It's just drama. He makes money off of drama. So if he can fish or like find any info, that's where it's at.
Or create it.
Or create it, yeah. But I don't know. I've never really followed him. I don't really care to listen to like what he says. That's the main thing.
Same.
Yeah. It just sucks that where there is drama, he will be there and he will try to instigate or blow it up more than it should be. The people that actually follow it or are into his like content, that's fine. I guess that's what you're into. I just don't get it. That's all.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
It's all just most of his stuff is just allegations and stuff like that. Like, I mean, and yes, occasionally he does report on stuff that has some concreteness to it.
Yeah.
But like the way he goes about it, his attitude on it, and shit. If this puts his ire on like me personally, then fuck it. I don't give a shit. Like he's scumbaggy as hell. Like just bothers
I'm
me.
pretty sure he knows that.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure, and a lot of people know. That's the thing. It's not. Yeah, it's not anything that's too secret, right?
No. I don't see how any streamers or anyone content-wise who still finds themselves respectable would go on to work with him going forward.
Yeah.
Because like people called him out on like being like, hey, isn't the reason why they're apologizing and stuff is because like what just happened with Wreckful.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
The words matter, so let's be a little bit more respectful, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It bothers me because just especially as someone who's been mentally there, people who just keep acting like scumbags to people over it and over it and over it, and I'm just like, dude, just why you gotta be like that? I don't know. It doesn't make a lick of sense to me, and I don't think it ever will.
Yeah.
Outside of that normal stuff, wise, how have you guys been?
So at work, we're gonna start to implement a little bit stricter rules. I think they don't want people coming into our work area that don't belong in that building. So we're having like stricter guidelines and such. But other than that, everything is pretty normal. If you're going out, wear a goddamn mask. That's it. Just be mindful of others. If you say that all lives matter, then please wear a mask. Because you know, if you only care about yourself, then typically you really don't care about all other lives and such.
You know, I hadn't thought of that conundrum right there.
Yeah. A lot of the all lives matter people are the same ones that are arguing against wearing a mask, and you know, the whole reason why we're wearing this mask is to prevent others from like having to deal with that kind of pain or like that burden of that illness if their body deals with COVID-19 that way.
One of my favorite memes that I've shared these past couple of days online is a picture of like, it's a caption that says white people. It's like, follow the law. It's just that simple. The law. Wear a mask. White people.
It's not. It's my right to choose what I can do with my body.
Yeah. Like, oh God. Really? Come on
the
now.
hypocrisy that comes from these people consistently is baffling to me. Like, to a level that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think it's like any minor inconvenience to them, that's when it becomes a problem. But if it's not a convenience or like an inconvenience to them, then they don't care, right? But
well, even then, if the solution inconveniences them for a moment, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're protesting the streets? I mean, I know I protested masks like 2 months before it, but these protests are preventing people from getting to work.
It's crazy times. This 2020 is really crazy, and I remember I saw a meme about if time travel had really existed, someone would have came back and stopped 2020 or have done something to like change the course of like time, right?
I saw a follow-up to that. Is that they did. But every time they've done it, something else
is just worse. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh fuck, it's the murder hornets.
How did I fuck up that there's murder hornets now? Fuck, I gotta go back again.
Oh my god,
go back.
We ran into intelligent life forms on other planets and they don't want to deal with us anymore. Fuck, alright, gotta go back again.
Help! I've time traveled so many times and I keep making it worse. How? What is wrong with you people?
The butterfly effect.
Yeah. Well, did you guys hear that the 2 cases of the plague were found in Mongolia? Black plague.
Thank goodness that's cured by antibiotics.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, so they've been that area has been like quarantined because they've dealt with a spread of it before.
Yeah. Is that the same thing as like the new swine flu or whatever?
No, a different one.
Oh, so that's because I know there was something about a new type of like influenza that was going around in China as well. So that's scary.
It's just this is a sign that the world, the globe, is like, hey, you've been fucking me over. My turn.
Yeah.
You guys will stay home. My air will get clean. My trees will grow. Then I will let you out. And America's over here like, woo! Yeah!
4th of July! Let's celebrate, baby!
I'm hearing like in Brazil as well, you know how a majority of our oxygen comes from the rainforests over there, and and they're just letting it burn. Like the country's leaders like, fuck it, if I can't build homes because you guys won't let me tear it down, I'm just gonna let the fucker burn down. and then we'll just have to deal with it later.
Yep.
We don't
It's
need
not
to
like we
breathe,
need
right?
that.
Who needs oxygen? Well, it's fine, right?
Not me. I'll just get a mask. Oh wait, I don't like masks unless it's
Now
unless it's convenient for me.
Now I'm expecting Spaceballs, where we have canned of compressed air, and we're
Air.
just like, oh,
That's that good shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Welcome to dystopia, everybody.
Dude, we have seriously stepped into idiocracy. I don't know if you guys watched that
That's
movie.
yes.
Mhm.
We're
What-
pretty damn close to that, right?
What
If
are
not,
electrolytes?
yeah.
They're what plants crave.
I mean, the fact that you make that joke and my brain goes, you know, someone's probably gonna do that soon.
God, no. Oh, sad world syndrome.
Well, it baffles me that I can, like, that life is imitating that art of all things.
Mhm.
Like, that was a clear warning sign, like, in a comedic fashion of what not to do, not a step-by-step tutorial of how to get there.
Mhm.
Or you could like compare it to the Stephen King novel that came out, where it's like literally it's a story of a man who just wants something better, quote unquote, for his country, and
Yeah.
he goes off of old rampant ideas, and it takes the country by storm, and he ends up being the president and ruins everything. Like,
There's been so many books that warn of this kind of thing.
Mhm.
That are bestsellers, movies that have been seen so many times, and people are like, "No, this is okay. This is a good idea."
oh, we're talking about America, not American politics.
Well, one of my favorite things that people have said is that, like, from now on, anytime someone makes a zombie movie or a like sickness movie, there
Mhm.
has to. You can no longer have it just be like everyone reacts like it's there. There has to be that group of people who are like, well, I mean, do we know they're actually zombies?
Oh,
Or-
so sad.
Or are they just like playing it up? Is this the alt
Yeah.
left that's technically really just like slightly left of moderate if you look at other countries, but it's the alt left to some people trying to take over, or the radical left? I don't get it. I don't get how
Go ahead, finish
what
your
is
statement.
what is moderate in most places in the
Mhm.
world is radical here.
So like instance I have specifically, I just learned about this morning, is here in California. We have a proposition that we can vote on in November called Proposition 16. That what its plan is to repeal California's constitutional amendment section 31 or something like that, where it's I'm going to get some of the terms mixed up, where it makes it so it makes it so you can't discriminate by race, gender, ethnicity, all that stuff, religion, affirmative action laws.
Yeah.
Basically. In November's ballot in California, it is up for debate if we want to keep those affirmative action laws, if we want to repeal them from our California Constitution. The reasoning behind it is because some people, the article that I read specifically gave examples of Asian Americans who can't go to college because of affirmative action laws, making it to where universities have to have a certain percentages of people of color. So they'll limit the amount of Asian Americans who can come in, so they can have African Americans and all the other stuff like that. And that's just one example of how this affirmative action law hinders people in America. And so here in California, in November's ballot, there's the chance of removing that law from our Constitution. But at the same time, we here are learning very quickly that people don't do the right thing because it's right, and no one is on equal footing.
Yeah.
And if we get rid of these kind of laws, what the hell is going to happen? We honestly don't know. But the articles that the one article that I first found this on was a very Republican article that was like the radical left, which is saying something based off of California's population. And the radical left that they were talking about was like the University of UCLA's, like the professor of UCLA, who was like the most moderate Democrat you could think of. But in this article, he's the radical left. So.
Yeah, no, that's how it is, dude. Like, it's because, like, our what our right-wing Republicans are is, like, extremely conservative compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Like, would be the, like, our normal, like, what we would have considered normal Republican in what was considered normal times.
In the days of yore.
What would be considered far right in, like, most European countries and first world countries. And it's like, damn, I just, like, hearing someone break that down for a moment, I'm like, wow, that was eye-opening, to say the least. Shit. Well, yeah, it's just like here, it's like there are so many people who immediately, like, our governor Ainsley, so many people here hate him, at least where I live, because I live more in, like, central Washington, which central to eastern is heavy right leaning, compared
I know that because that's where my mom lives.
Yes. compared to Western Washington.
Yeah.
I will say it like, funny enough, Washington is legitimately kind of like the spectrum, is that the further right you go, the more Republican that area is. The further left you go, the more Democratic it is, or more Democrat it is, liberal. And then central is kind of like a mix of people, because there's plenty of people I know who are like, well, there's things like this on both sides that I like, and then there's plenty of people who are one way or the other, and I'm just like,
yeah.
This area, I could draw a line and use Washington as a map explaining the political spectrum right now. And it's just the amount of people from here onward who are like, fuck Inslee, he doesn't know what's going on over here, we're fine. While, like, cities like Yakima are like 25% of Washington's COVID cases.
Yeah.
And they're like, he doesn't know what's going on. We've got this. And I'm like, no, guys, come on. The amount of people I see that I work, that I see around work that aren't wearing masks and stuff. I'm like, guys, I can wear it for 8 hours a day and be fine. Like, yeah, my face is a little bit, like, smudgier because, you know, I've been, my breath is, like, against my face now. So, yeah, you know, when I get home and shower, I've got to, you know, wash my face a little bit more. But, I mean, okay. I'm not getting you sick because I mean, I work with the public, so if I'm, you know, asymptomatic, I'm one of the likely people to spread it because I work with the general public. So I've got to wear a fucking mask. Where are your goddamn masks? And I saw someone pointed out, I think it was Fanimace, pointed out, like, if you're talking to someone who's wearing a mask and you're wearing a mask, don't remove the mask. If you don't know the person, like, if it's me and a coworker and we're talking, like, on a break or something, yeah, we're going to take our mask off because we're on a break. We're in a spot where we're away from everyone else and we all work around each other. So we're fucked if we got it. So, because that's just how it is. We're like, every time there's a case like that, it's like, it's an ant hill. You find one, you find them all. So when when we're on our breaks, yeah, we'll take our mask off talking to each other. But when with the public, it's just like, I don't get why you would go like, hey, so where can I find shredded cheese? Okay. Like, when you're talking, you should
have it on.
Have it on. That's why you have it.
I literally sent a video to my ex. Well, no, I had this whole conversation with my ex where I was like, "Hey, wear a mask," because she was talking about how wearing a mask is dumb and how she has anxiety whenever she puts it on, and she'll never leave the house because where we live had passed a law making it illegal to walk around with a mask on, without a mask on in public places. But then she's talking about how she has all these plans for this weekend, and I asked her about it, like, "Hey, what about the law?" And her response was, "Well, if I don't go to jail for it, is it really a law?" And then I had to start talking to her about things like, "Well, what about infection rates? And what about this?" And the argument was, what about social distancing? And why do we have to do this if we do that? And I shared a nice, lovely little 6-minute video that was like, this is why you need to do more than just social distance.
Yeah.
And nope, they just laughed and they're like, "Huh, you're funny. That science stuff doesn't make sense here." So, and people just don't understand that.
It hurts my soul. But, some people don't want to listen to science, I guess. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, when there's like multiple sources and like it's not just like CDC, it's WHO.
Yeah.
It's a ton of others. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Literally, even like the what's the big money company, like Goldman Sachs, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, wearing a mask will save the economy, and people are like, nope, don't want to do it.
Well, save the economy is throwing bodies at it.
Yeah, and just earlier, just before we walked into this, I was listening to MSNBC with my family, and they reported that right now the president's just like, we're just gonna have to live with it. This is the new norm. And he's only half wrong. Yes, we have to live with what we're dealing with here, but by live with it, we have to live with the masks. We have to live with social distancing.
Yep.
We don't have to live with everybody fucking dying. So, no. And no one really seems, at least, and a lot of people seem to just forget those facts. And they're like, well, things aren't how they were in January, so that means I'm being, I don't know, infringed upon.
Yeah.
And here we have a group of people who are actually being infringed upon their whole lives. And
This year sucks.
yes, it does.
This year is really shitty in terms of like everything that's happened from like January till now, and we're already like halfway through, and it's like a pain in the ass.
Dude, it does. This has been the longest year.
Yeah.
In the sense of things that have happened. Like, one, we had Cheeto and Chief nearly start World War III towards the beginning of the year.
Yep.
We had the Australian fires this year, which it still baffles me that was this year.
Yeah.
What?
So what exactly happened? What was the thing that? So if we go through a timeline, World War III was the first thing, right?
Yes, if I remember correctly,
the Australian fires.
Yes.
And then Kobe passed away. Helicopter crash, I think, right?
Yes.
Next thing, COVID gets boosted up.
Yes.
Right? And it's been COVID since then, but there's been things in between that have happened that
with like
with
the the murder hornets entering America, we had the Black Lives Movement finally break through. It should not have taken that long, but it finally broke through. The fact that like they doubled the number of people, like doubled and tripled the amount of people who support them going forward. It's like like that they've from the last 2 years in the last 6 months. It should not have taken like this. Mind you, it was the perfect storm to cause it. Everyone's at home, so they can't just be like, "Oh, I'm just I'm working all the time, so I'm away from it." It doesn't affect me. But then we're all home, so they're like, "Oh well, shit."
I guess I have to be political now.
Yeah.
Damn.
You've got it's just there's so much like this year that it's been impossible to keep up with.
And we're only halfway through the year,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So I'm waiting. I just want to see what's like the next on the timeline. Like what happens next.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's next on the timeline at this point. Like,
Well, California's due for a huge earthquake, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Oh, the Republicans would love that. Then all of the liberal turds that they keep talking about would be off to sea.
Yeah.
And obviously they wouldn't count to the U.S. anymore, right? Oh, Yellowstone about to blow. Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
And then there's that one guy who discovered an unmanned, a new cave in Florida or Colorado or whatever. Who knows what he'll find in there?
If Yellowstone blows, it will probably kill a lot more globally. Like, that's the thing.
It'll definitely kill the a lot of the western United States. Just the explosion.
Well, no, the explosion's not gonna. The explosion's not gonna be what kills a lot of people.
And then the smoke and the ash.
It's the aftermath. It's the ash and smoke that'll kill more people. Because with the
choking.
Yeah. All right, man. Like, Z, I'm pretty sure you're just being a fucking troll at this point. Like,
probably. So we could just keep talking about it and ignoring his trolls.
Well, I'm just, I'm just,
I wouldn't necessarily say Bernie's the biggest meme of the year, though. Like, there's a good couple of things that led to him not being able to take the candidacy this year.
Yeah.
And he decided to drop out before the primaries because he had only won 2 states, 2 out of 49 Democratic states. So he's like, well, that's a fight that's an uphill battle the entire way. So why waste the time? Why divert attention away from the proper candidate and get us focused on the right target? So
it sucks. It's kind of like South Park. Who do you vote for? The douche nozzle or the shit on a stick? It's kind of one of those things. Like, I feel like it's always been like that anyways, right?
Yeah, but like my thought about it, right, like especially like the last 2 elections have been more like I'll vote for someone that I don't necessarily 100% agree with.
Yeah.
If it means someone like freaking Cheeto Prime over there, what have we gained over the last 4 years? Like, if you look at it. Absolutely nothing. Plus, he hasn't.
Country divided.
Yes. Plus, none of the things that were promised happened. It just doesn't make sense. Like the battle of 2 evils doesn't make sense if one of those evils is definitively hateful, spiteful, runs on just division and callous nature, and is just a scummy person to begin with. Like, I didn't care for Hillary.
Which is kind of funny. Since I was on to talk about her, she was quite possibly the most qualified candidate in presidency in our entire U.S. history because of all of her experience within our government. But because of a bunch of slander campaigns that happened and that fucking email fiasco, like, she didn't get it.
Well, and then people didn't turn out either. I mean, people turned out, but they didn't turn out like they did with Obama, Democrat-wise. So, like, you look at it like that as well. That changes the tide. And plus, we have a weird, like, one of the weird things, too, is we are a 2-party system, which most places aren't that do this, because it adds more variety. It adds more options out there for people. And we have the Electoral College, which, in my opinion,
is a biased and broken system.
Yeah, it needs to be abolished. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed with our voting system, to be honest.
There's a way to do the Electoral College or something similar, where it doesn't make it so each, like, doing it by district makes more sense than doing it by state. Like, if a state has 5 electoral points, and let's say because they have 5, different districts in there, each one of those districts could, change one of those points. So it could go, like, a state could go 3-5 one candidate, or 3-2 one candidate.
Mm-hmm.
That would make way more sense, because then, like, you give the places that maybe don't have as many people, but still have need their voices to be heard, because, like, rural areas are different.
Yeah.
But, like, does that mean that, like, half of the country's voice should be suppressed by the fact that most of our, like, that we have a large rural area of our country? Like, that it's not balanced.
There's just a lot of things that need to be updated, essentially.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
We're at a time we finally hit the breaking point of where updates need to happen, or else the computer breaks.
Mm-hmm.
I had a fun time explaining to my mom how through the electoral system, she has her voice matters more than mine. And she was like, no, that's not true. We have this, that, and the other thing. And I was like, let me just do simple math for you. Population-wise, let alone. Where I live is this many, and we have this many votes. Where you have is this many, you have this many votes. You divide that up, and just simply stated, the numbers add up to where you have more of a voice than I do. And so I could kind of see maybe doing the district thing, but still at the same time, we'd have to change something else about the system.
No, I agree about that. Like, you would have to change the points and stuff like that. There's just a lot of stuff. Yeah, and that's the other thing too. You got to flip the Senate too, to get anything done at this point. Because, I mean, even with the Senate, even when they had this House and Senate before 2018, things weren't getting done. That's the other thing. Like, right there, that shows a failed presidency. When you have control of House, Senate, and executive branch, and nothing monumental gets passed. Nothing. What are you doing at that point? It doesn't make sense to me. And nothing will happen still if the old garb are still there. And I also include, as someone who leans more liberal, that also to me means, like, Schumer and Pelosi, I think, need to move as well.
UTFO.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't know if you guys follow Hutch, but he's talked about that, like, right now should be political slam dunks for Schumer and Pelosi. They should be doing daily briefings and stuff like that with press, explaining the failings that are happening. But they're not. They're not pushing for a lot right now. They should be dunking on McConnell and on Trump for the fact that we have only received one relief check. Most of us have. Not even everyone has gotten it. That we've only, like, that not a lot of businesses have received checks to help keep them afloat during the times when they're closed. The fact that there's no national, like, game plan across the board, that it's state by state. Like, there's so many things that could be political slam dunks right now that they're not doing, and it makes no sense to me.
I think it makes sense to me, though. Like why in the moment when our country is in arms with civil matters would you go into political dumping?
Because to prove a point right now, in my opinion, because right now, like, people, yes, their eyes are on Trump, but they also should be on McConnell, on Graham, on the Senate, on the House as well, because that's where legislation is created and passed and sent to the president. So they should be able to be dunking on McConnell right now, but they're not. They aren't bringing that to a forefront as well, because that should be addressed more right now. Because the Senate and the House should be passing more relief stuff for people right now. Because there's still half the country without a job, roughly, from some estimates. Like, it could be that bad. Like, that's unprecedented right there.
I mean, I watch MSNBC and stuff, and they mention moments where like AOC and Kamala Harris discuss the failings of the political parties and how the Senate is honestly a lot of the problem right now. So, like, I see what you're talking about, but I literally see what you're talking about. I don't think the people are missing out on
Pelosi and Schumer, though, are the heads of their parties in their respected branches of the legislation of the House and the Senate, right?
Yes.
And they're not really like bringing this to the forefront, is more what I'm saying. Like, they are, because by technicality they are the face of the party.
Mm-hmm. I guess I see it as more their concerns are more what other people want rather than what they would want to take over, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
like,
no, I'm not looking at it as taking over. I'm saying, like, say that they want these things to happen, because they aren't, like, they occasionally do an interview, but they should be saying how, like, hey, we're trying to pass this legislation. McConnell's holding it up. We're trying to get you relief. We're trying to help you out, but it is being halted in the Senate. But they're not. That's what I mean by political dunking. Like, not that like a grab for power or like something like that.
I hear that stuff though. Like, me watching the news that I watch, I hear them talking about how the Senate is fucking everything up. So, like,
but on like one channel. I'm saying, like, having a briefing about it. Like, this is like going over, hey, this is what we've tried to do. Here's some of the progress we've tried to make. And this is where it's being halted.
Something that's not televised only on one little like platform, right? Or no, it's not a little platform, but like on multiple platforms essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, what about like the jurisdiction committee meetings? Those are on national television, and they talk about how the presidency and the Senate are failing many times, especially when they go into the investigations of the president himself.
But that's different. Like, that's a different thing. That's a different topic. Okay. I'm talking just COVID right now. Okay. Like if we throw all that in there, that's just another pile of everything that should have been taken. Like that. That's a pile of stuff that should have ended this presidency year 2, maybe.
I mean, he was impeached.
I mean, yeah, but he's still there.
Yeah.
I mean, since then, he has done quid pro quos. Like, he didn't learn a lesson, like some senates have said. He did technically get impeached. He wasn't. He wasn't. The position wasn't taken.
He legally is an impeached president. He's never lost the office.
Yes. He is technically an impeached president, like Bill Clinton is technically an impeached president. No impeached president has technically been kicked out of office. Because it was Jackson, the first one, if I remember correctly. But he wasn't kicked out of office. Nixon never went to trial.
And he resigned.
Peace. And then Clinton was impeached, but wasn't taken out of office. And same with Trump. If I remember my impeachment facts correctly.
Which is hard to do sometimes because they happen so far in between.
Well, I mean, this is the closest gap between two of them at this point. Well, because you went Jackson to, or not, Jackson to Nixon, which is 100-year gap, roughly. and then Nixon to Clinton, which is what, like 50, like 30-ish years, 40 years. And then you go Clinton to Trump, which is 20
roughly,
years.
Yeah, roughly 20.
So the gaps are getting smaller.
Mhm.
It's just as we get older, we're learning that everyone's becoming an idiot. Seems appropriate, don't you agree?
Sadly.
Yeah.
Sadly it is.
Now we got really into that. I didn't expect to go that deep into that.
We're fed up with the system.
Well, yeah, we are. I mean, you're not wrong. So I guess should we circle back to one of the other topics we plan on talking about then?
Go
Wait,
for
we
it.
had other topics? I'm just kidding.
Which one do you want to do?
What other sad thing shall we discuss now?
Well, yeah, no, the other two topics are sad, without a doubt. Which one? I don't know which one to start with today, out of the two.
Your choice. Doesn't matter.
All right. We will start with the stuff involving the fighting games and those circuits and all that stuff.
Good times.
Great
Just
times.
a lot of shit. Yeah. The Me Too movement kind of dug up a bunch of stuff. I guess like when that happened, a lot of people finally got the strength and courage to come out with their stories, and it's not just men that are getting called out, but there's also a bunch of women that are getting called out too.
Yep.
Which is kind of crazy, and it's a lot of pedophilia, rape, sexual harassment, whatever you want to, like, whatever you can think of. There's been things that have happened, kind of nuts, and a majority of it seems to be so far in the Smash games community. And then the biggest one is the head. I wouldn't say the head, but like I guess one of the faces of Evolution Fighting Game Championship, which is like the biggest fighting game tournament in the world, I'd say. So
It's the one I know the most that I've heard.
So it's not a great time right now.
Yeah, because you've got that Evo co-founder or placed on leave as sexual misconduct claims. Embroil fighting gaming community, and it's just it's been a lot of like there's been a lot of people like inside this stuff. I mean, when we talked about it last week as well.
Oh, and a bunch of people from Twitch as well, right?
Yeah,
it's not even just the fighting game community, but like it's spreading
everywhere.
A lot of people are
It's not even just it's gaming industry in general.
Yeah.
Which again, going back to Hutch for a moment, something he brought up. He went 10 years ago. If you had told me that the gaming industry would be on the forefront of racial injustice and racial like issues, sexual assault.
Bullshit on that.
Well, in the front of like people addressing it, like the fact that like companies are finally coming to the point of being like.
But I mean, like 10 years ago, if you told me that, I would be like,
oh yeah, without a doubt, like that it would be towards the forefront of everything right now. That the gaming community.
Yeah.
10 years ago, my ass would have been like, bullshit. Have you played Call of Duty Black Ops?
Yeah. I can replay something from my Modern Warfare lobby like 5 minutes ago, and you'd be like, get the hell out of here.
Oh yeah, Brian Singer got called out because I mean, but he was known being a fucking like horrid person, but like it got worse with like apparently there's a lot of he might be part from what I've gathered. I haven't gone full deep dive into it, but it like the allegation is that he's part of like child sex rings and stuff like that, which is man. If I remember reading it correctly. Apparently also, about the fact that, Josh Whedon's a freaking tyrant, apparently. Which, those allegations have come up before. Like, it was recent, apparently, like, Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg, brought it up. Yeah.
No, not Josh Whedon. Not like this, man.
So... Keith, you bring up a point that I'm fine with talking about with racism towards white people. My thought process on this is racism is someone brought up is like what we know of it being like stuff against people of race, but also the fact that the people against you are also have more power than you over it. It's I can't remember the way it was broken down is that like it's shit, god damn it, I need to look it up. Because it was two parts. Like prejudice, discrimination, and antagonization directed towards a person or people unbiased in their membership, racial or ethnic group, that is majority or marginalized. For the most part, like, we don't follow, like, as a white guy, we don't fall into that category. Like, you can be, like, it's still unethical, in my opinion. But the way that racism is more defined, it's not the same in any way, in my opinion. Because saying that, like the fact that, like, there isn't a word for white people that you can't say without, like, huge repercussions. Sorry, there's been a gnat flying around all fucking day since I got back, and it's been bothering the shit out of me. I mean, that's not entirely accurate. And the fact that, like, the other thing too is the Irish weren't considered white at one point. They weren't. Like, similar with Italians. Like, they got, there was, well, yeah, like, the cracker's the only term that I can think of for a white guy.
But people laugh at that.
Exactly.
Sorry,
I laugh at that.
Yeah. If someone called you that, you would have just cracked up and just kept on walking.
Me, I would have been like, yeah.
Like, I feel like Karen is more offensive to white females now than cracker is.
Yeah, and
white,
but also, like, Karen
people.
is a very specific term towards a type of person.
Mm-hmm.
It's more towards an attitude a person has. It's not towards a group of people. It's towards an attitude people have. That's the difference too. Like, well, and yes, like, we are a country of immigrants, 100%. But a lot of those immigrants didn't choose to come here. The fact that a portion of our country didn't have the their ancestors did not have the choice to come here. They were taken here, forced to work, and forced into a systematic system that keeps them oppressed. Because if you look at it, the statistics, like, if you look at the statistics of, like, people killed by cops, yes, the number of white people killed by cops is technically higher than black people killed by cops. But
the numbers,
if you, the ratio,
population numbers,
you look at the ratio, and it's way off.
Mm-hmm.
Because it should be closer to, like, 13% of them should be, people of color, and then, like, what I think we're 70% of the population, I think, is white, if I remember correctly. So remember, it should be closer to that, but it's closer to a third of police shootings are people of color, people who are African American. That doesn't add up. And the fact that they're put into systems that don't allow them to progress. Like, people go, well, I mean, if they just put their mind to it, you can only put your mind so forward. Like, one of my favorite videos that I've seen is that guy who is like, all right, you guys start on that side of the field. I'm going to be on this side of the field with $100.
Yeah.
The first person to reach me gets $100. But the caveat is, if the question I ask you is a yes, you take a step forward. And you can see how people start at different points. Like, there isn't equality in that sense. And it's not necessarily that I don't think necessarily that everyone should be given the exact same tools, because that means some people aren't going to succeed. They need to be given tools to succeed. Because if you look at that, like, yeah, some of those people on the way back are going to beat some of the people towards the way front, because they have, like, in that race, they do have the skills to beat someone towards the front, while someone in the front is still probably going to win, because they have that advantage and they do have the skills to win said scenario. Like, it's just, it doesn't,
not everything's equal, essentially.
Yeah.
That's
and that's more what it is. Like,
yeah.
By design, I have more of an advantage than other people. That's what racism is. And it's more about, like, the talk about racism is more about the systemic issues that's caused by it. Because in the grand scheme of things, I can walk down the street with an AR-15 if I wanted to and be fine. As long as, at least in Washington, as long as I have the right, registrations and stuff like that, because I live in Washington and there's stuff like that. But if like one of the key points that I will bring up is the fact that when the Black Panthers started to carry weapons on them, immediately the Republican Party passed gun legislation.
Yeah, that's when NRA was like, nope, we got to go against whatever this is.
That's racism, in my opinion. When we get past all of that, sure, we can address people going like, fuck white people. In that sense, like, just because they're white. Not because, like, systematically, like, they don't care, like, because the amount of videos I've seen of people, like, in New York sitting and eating their lunch and everything, while a block down, you see the marches. The disconnect. That's more what I, like, that is what the view of racism is, in my opinion. Is this systematic deconstruction of people's lives.
See.
I mean, a lot of that does come from systemic issues. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Like, say for instance, there's wars, there's gang wars specifically. Why, on instance, are there turf wars? Why are these people fighting over property? Because they're barely given anything to begin with. Or they're not given anything in that instance, actually. They had to fight to get to the property that they have. And even that's an extreme example, because how did they get to that part in the first place? Well, it started very early on with them being allowed to only live in certain areas. And then once that moved up, then it was because now that they live in these certain areas, they have a hard time getting to work because jobs were over on the other side of town. And then now that because they can't get the money, they have to fight for what's theirs, and now they have to protect what they have. And now other people are now out of money, so they need to do whatever they can to preserve themselves. And then it just keeps escalating. Like, this could all be literally just logicked out from the very basic beginnings. Like, how did we get here? Well, obviously it's because of this and this
and like the thing too, the other thing that needs to be brought up is this isn't a fault of necessarily like myself or Steven or something like that. Like because we're white, it's not necessarily our fault that it's what the system is. But what would be our fault is if we didn't discuss why it is that way. We didn't take that moment to be like, hey, this is real. Like, white privilege and stuff like that is 100% real. I don't know how someone can say it's not. Like, just as someone who grew up in a low middle class to upper poverty growing up through high school with friends who are also in the same class as me, but I had more advantages because of it. Like, the fact that my entire adolescence, the joke was, hey, we're hanging out with college, so if a cop shows up, we're good. We have the white guy. Like,
Like, I'm like, I can think of a direct correl. Like, I don't know the name of this girl, but I know, like, we've heard of. I think his name was Tamir Rice, the like 17, 18-year-old kid at
yeah,
most
who was wearing his
shot
was
for
wearing a
having
face
toy
mask.
gun.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
one. Well, and then the I can't remember his name. The one who
There
was
was the security guard who was running away because he saw cops. There's all these different things of people of color who either have a toy gun, who look suspicious, just getting shot and gunned down on site. But additionally, there are stories of, say, like I said, I can't remember her name, but there was a girl who was 17, walked into a Walmart, stole a machete and a knife, stood outside that Walmart without being stopped, waited for an Uber, killed that Uber driver as soon as he showed up with said machete and said knife, stole his car, crashed his car, and ran away to a public park. All the while, the police didn't try to shoot her. And when they confronted her and finally met up with her, they didn't have 100 armed cops with guns pointed. They tased her and they took her in peacefully, even though she was actively threatening them with a machete. Like, come at me, people.
wow.
This is
People like, you know, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, stuff like that. Like, and then the Breonna Taylor thing is like, people are like, oh well, someone shot back at them. They were they were plainclothes cops busting into their apartment.
Yeah.
Not saying who they were.
And had already shot and fired at them. So like it makes no sense.
If I had a gun in my place and that scenario would happen, I would have shot too.
So I would have done the same thing.
Because I would have been like, someone is trying to break into my house and probably kill someone in here. Especially if I have a significant other.
Yeah.
Elijah McClain, yeah, that's one of the ones that are trying to be up. Or like, even like, look at the mass shooters. The Joker guy, I can't remember his fucking name. That's all I remember.
Aurora,
but
right?
Yeah.
And then Dylan Roof.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
they're taken in.
They have mugshots.
Yeah.
And a lot of other people don't, right?
Though,
Exactly.
Based off of Keith's comment here, though, like, I see what you do. Like, I understand that there's a complaint here. Like, oh, this white person had it happen to them too. That's still a problem.
That's still a problem. And
yeah, that's still police.
And by the way, people who are part of like Black Lives Matter and stuff like that brought that up.
They've brought up these cases as well.
Because they're part of the issue. They're part of the issue with the fact that like
police brutality is
a problem.
Is a huge problem.
Because they're trained to have a us versus them mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And that just doesn't work. That's not how you serve the people.
Like, I'm gonna get on the quick side tangent real fast.
Go for it.
I had because we're talking about police and stuff. Just this morning, I saw a post of an argument about defunding the police because of how brutal they are and using their tactics. They don't need to do this stuff. What ended up happening is in LA specifically, there is a school district in LA County, which has absolutely zero school counselors now. They fired their last school counselor, essentially. However, LAPD now has a brand new Model 3 Tesla, so that's cool. And someone replied, well, a Model 3 Tesla car is only about $3,000 more than the Dodge Charger. And I looked this up. The Dodge Charger is about $37,000. That's one car for maybe two officers. And
can you imagine like that amount of money being able to be used for like school programs or something that would help benefit the community?
Well, and the thing is, they're they're defunding schools just after teachers and people in the education system just flipped on a dime to start teaching from home. Like, the fact that teachers adapted so quickly to it that they became experts about this stuff because they had to, because it's their job, and they're gonna get cut again. Like, the fact that me and my friend at work, we made a joke, but it's because, I mean, it's realistic. He found an empty thing of Sharpies, like, hidden on one of the shelves. And I'm like, man, those budget cuts for the education system are really hitting hard. Because that's how it fucking is. Like we don't need to be, like, across the board. Police don't need to be as militarized as they are, and just, like, our spending on military in general doesn't need to be as much as it is. Could be used for much better things, like, that would help things here. The people that are supposed to be protected by those things aren't being protected or taken care of by those things because of all the money being spent on those things.
Teachers need to get paid more, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
It's there's just so much wrong with our country and, like, the things that are going on. It just gets deeper and deeper. I feel like this hole just gets further and further.
Well, it's because there's a lot of systematic things that are creating it. Like, on a fundamental level that this year they all came to a boil together. Which just made everything feel bigger. Because that's just how it is. Like, the fact that, like, some other countries, yeah, they pay higher tax, but the fact that they don't have to worry about medical costs, they don't have to worry about education, they don't have to worry about the fact that maybe they don't make rent this month, the fact that they can take a 2-week vacation guaranteed to a different country. I have never set foot out of this country, and I am a quarter of a century old.
Dude, like, I had an internship where I luckily managed to get through it because I had saved up all the money that I had earned while I was at college. Like, I worked 2 jobs and all that, blah, 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 and I had saved up money. Some people don't even have that opportunity where they work 3 jobs full time throughout the year, and they can't take these unpaid internships like I got to take because they literally can't afford it. Because as soon as they stop getting paid for their work, they can't afford to live and eat and clothe anymore. But that's not a problem anymore. Well, that's not a problem that people discuss. But it's still a problem of systemic problem that we have, because how often do you see a person of color that's an unpaid intern?
Maybe, well, yeah, that's true too. But, like, even at the same time, internships kind of bullshit too.
Bullshit.
Yeah,
but that's
a
whole
thing. Yeah, that's a whole different thing too, as well. Yeah. as someone that also interned, like, I was supposed to be an HR intern for a company. I did manual labor. Like, I brought in boxes. I went to I did Costco runs for them. That was all I was really used for. I didn't learn anything that could have pertained to, like, my future job.
So you got half a college credit.
Yeah.
Woo! Well, I mean, that's why I didn't, like, the fact that I didn't go to college is because I didn't, like, yeah, I could have gotten grants and stuff like that. I could have gone that route. But my fear was that, like, if this cuts into work, how am I going to afford stuff?
Yeah.
Like, I took half a semester because halfway through the semester, the opportunity for me to get a promotion came up, and I'm like, I mean, that's more money.
Yeah.
I've got to take it now. Because I didn't think of the long term, honestly. And also partially because the counselors there were like, oh, so you want to do video game design and stuff like that. When in reality, I talked about that I want to do more entertainment stuff like this and streaming. But I said gaming, so, like, game development. And I'm like, no. that's not right. The fuck? because they don't get paid to care. That's the other thing. They don't. They put you on a path that they're like, that's kind of right. Good luck. There's so many things wrong right now that just came to a boil, and it just, like, the fact that, like, I mean, we've talked about it for 3 weeks now, but, like, people just being scumbags, like, with the fighting circuit stuff, like, it's,
and then even just the streaming community as well. Like,
yeah.
There's scumbags. There was a lot of people that I was super surprised about, but at the same time, in the position they were in, I guess it makes sense, like, that they were scumbags.
Yeah.
Like, power corrupts even the most, like, I guess, greatest of people, right?
Well, wasn't the saying absolute power corrupts absolutely?
Yeah, there you go. That's essentially it. And it's very heartbreaking to see it, especially, like, some of these people that are, were in charge of charities or in charge of, like, Tiltify and things like that. That blew my mind.
I didn't hear about that one. What? That guy?
Yeah. That one was crazy. I even, like, a streamer friend I knew was called out, and he had admitted it, and it, what you see on camera compared to, like, I guess what the dark secrets are. It's wild. It's really wild. And that one took me like a little bit to actually have to like process. So it's, I'm not gonna say that I'm like one of the best people either. I was a scumbag growing up, but you learn, right? But these people have been super recent and have done things like throughout the conventions and that you
Oh yeah,
were
right.
at. Yeah, and then you never expect, and it's crazy.
Like it's one of the ones that surprised me was Sat, but it surprised me when it
Oh,
happened the first time when it got outed.
Mhm,
Before Haley Baby publicly talked about it.
mhm.
Because that same year I ran into him at PAX South. And I was high-fiving the shit out of him and stuff. Because every night we ran into each other drunk. And I was like, oh shit, it's Satellizer! Because it was my first convention. I was like, oh shit, there's him, there's Vern Notice, oh man! Every time, by the way, every time I've run into Vern, except for once, I've been drunk off my ass. Which is hilarious. I literally called
you're at a
myself
convention and you're not enjoying yourself. There has to.
Well, it was like the second time it happened, I'm like, or like the third time at like TwitchCon, I'm like, man, one of these times I've got to run into you not intoxicated.
I need to be sober when we take this picture.
But like with the Sat thing, like I remember talking with friends who had firsthand knowledge about some of the stuff, because they know him, and them explaining like, yeah, no, this is all that happened. This is at least from what I understand, and yeah, he's not a good person. I was broken to the point that like even now, if I see him show me a video of someone that I know that I like to watch, I don't watch their video if he's in it. I'm like, I don't really want to see you around, so I'm not watching this video. No, hell no. Like, I don't know. It's just it's not hard to be not a scumbag, I guess.
Yeah. It's not hard to not be a scumbag, but a lot of people choose to be scumbags anyways, essentially. That's just what it is. It's not hard to be a good person or to treat people with respect or to like just look out for someone's well-being or just shit.
Like,
if you don't care about them, then just don't deal with them, period, right? Or just completely, I don't know how to put that.
I feel like there's an entire generation of people, like about ages, I'll say about 40 and older, who like were raised to only care about themselves, while generations after that lived with only the people caring about themselves and had to be like, they suck. You need help? Oh, you need help? I need help. Let's help each other. And like there's just this divide generationally where it's just like we suck and we only care about ourselves, and it's like, well, they suck, let's help each other.
Well, and then you have the people within that generation of helping each other who are taking advantage of that. That's the thing. Like that's like for me, one of the big things for me is, and I've talked about it a lot, I don't pick up on signals easily. So like when
there's no amount of nodding that I could do to agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I actually talked about it recently with my dad. A lot of it comes from the fact that like growing up, like he admitted that like him and my mother did not like tonally speak to us always the best way. I love my dad because he's willing to admit the faults that happened as a father, and especially towards me, he's like, we really didn't treat you as like totally like we should have, and that's it's definitely hindered something up here for me to pick up on tones because I don't pick up on my own tone sometimes. Like I don't like there are times where I don't like my intention isn't to sound like an asshole or like aggressive or upset or something like that. Like I'm trying to sound like normal, but my voice just does it and I don't hear it. And then someone's like, well, why are you getting so this with me? And I'm like, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. Because I don't pick up on it. So that's why like even like one-on-one conversations with women, I try to be as open about it. I'm like, hey, I am asking this list of questions because I don't pick up on this shit. And it's not that hard to do. Like, there are people who I'm still really great friends with that I've asked being like, hey, is there more to this than I'm picking up on? They've said no. I'm like, okay, cool. We're still friends. I'm not going to try to push it further.
You know what's like crazy about all the allegations and stuff are the same people that were called out like a couple days beforehand had been like, "Oh, I stand with you," or like, "Thank you for your courage and coming out with these stories." And in their past, they've done these things, and it's like, did you not think that what you were doing was wrong, or did you think that you were just weren't gonna get caught?
Oh,
Or that
right.
these people, yeah. So like that's kind of like something that I've always dwelled on too. Is like, how can you say these things knowing what you've done? Yeah.
At that point,
Yeah.
you should be saying something about the fact that you did it.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
eventually
yeah.
it is going to get you. It gets
Mhm.
everyone.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me that like, if my dumbass who can't like legitimately has issues with human conversation
Mm-hmm.
to such a degree that it is a well-known fact amongst friends before I even bring it up.
Yeah.
That they're like, yeah, no, we've noticed. You're terrible with like
Mhm.
sarcasm and stuff like that. Okay, cool. I'm glad you noticed. Cool. Glad we're on the same page now.
Mm-hmm.
That my dumb ass can try to check as many boxes. And I'm not saying I'm perfect about it. And I'm
No, I'm
willing to
definitely
admit
not
fault
perfect.
if I've
Yeah.
made that like mistakes like that. 100%. I'm
Mhm.
willing to be like, okay, I was wrong here. 100%. If at any point I misread a situation or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I do, that's the thing. I do misread situations. So like, like, that's why I take the precautions of making sure I'm overly communicative with stuff that might be flirtatious and stuff like that. I want to make sure that I'm not accidentally like overstepping bounds and stuff like that. I try to make sure that like that there is a form of open conversation so that no one feels like they're being pushed into something or something like that. That's one of the things I say a lot. Like, I'm not trying to push on anything. Like, if I in conversations with like people I meet on dating apps, whatever. Yes, I use them, whatever. But listen, you can't exactly go to a bar right now, so
No, obviously, yeah, it's fine.
and even then, going to a bar is awkward as fuck.
That's not the best place to pick someone up. Definitely,
No.
you don't want to do it at a bar.
Well, again, our generation, where the fuck else do you go?
That's true.
Like, our generation's like, you're the only time I've gone out with someone that I've met in person, just random happenstance, was during the Pokemon Go, and that was the ex that shall not be named.
Oh.
Yeah. So my track record with that, not great.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer to use dating apps. And so, like, even then, like, if like a conversation sparks in one way, and you know, I'm like, hey, so I'm not trying to push anything. I'm more just like curious about this stuff, or like asking personal stuff, because you're just trying to get to know a person. I just like, I feel like you need to have that communication to prevent these kind of situations from happening, and just not be a scumbag to take advantage of those situations. Like with Fedmeister and Lily, the fact that like after the stuff that happened with her, that he started doing stuff with her. I'm like, dude, read a room for one. Like, the fuck? In that situation, you counsel your friend.
Yeah.
You don't hit on your friend. The fuck? And to hit back on Bread's thing real quick. The doc stuff, like, there's not enough information out there to know.
There's no info out right now. The people that know, and they're not going to say anything because they could probably get sued up the wazoo.
Yeah.
Let's be real here.
Like with Slasher being like,
Yeah.
I know, I'm not going to say anything though. And someone called him out on being like, he obviously probably can't say anything because, you know, legal stuff, but also he probably just shouldn't have said anything.
He shouldn't have said anything, period.
Yeah. And like he shared it being like, you know, all solid points.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to be like, all right, you know, at least he admits that that's a solid point, that he probably shouldn't have said anything in the fucking first place.
It was probably just his attempt to get more people to check out his stream. It was probably just like,
Well, Slasher
Oh, I
doesn't
know
even
what-
stream really that much, does he?
all right, I don't know.
He more just reports on like stuff happening
Like,
within the industry.
it could just be either way. Like, just more attention to his platform in general.
Yes.
Like, I know what's happening, so eventually people are going to be like, oh, it's
well, the other thing too is he was reporting on what was happening, being like, hey, so, yes, it is confirmed that Dr. Disrespect is permanently banned from Twitch, and that it does not seem to be DMCA. So he was already previously reporting on it, so it kind of makes sense to be like, hey, so I mean, there is a reason for this, but I can't share it. But at the same time, it is kind of like a little bit of shot of ego kind of thing, being like, well, I know, but
guess what?
well, I ain't gonna say. I don't know, man. Like, it's just this whole thing with everything right now. Like the fact that like, with like Mixer and the whole,
oh, the fact Mixer went under is so crazy, and now they're bought up by Facebook. That's pretty nuts too, especially that Microsoft was behind Mixer, right?
yeah.
That's a lot of money.
They had some great stuff there, though, in my opinion. Like the low latency thing blew my mind. How good their low latency was. Funny enough, the person who I first found them when they were still Beam is someone who I was shocked about having allegations about, which was Mini Lad.
Mini Lad. Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's rough too.
Yeah, right. He's my age, and I was like, "Oh man, I look up to you because you made it."
He played with a lot of the people that I looked up to, like was it Gassy Mexican?
Yep.
Spoonerism, not I am Spoon, but Spoonerism. They
Spoonerism.
all like, played... Yeah.
You have to make the distinction, which I didn't realize. I am Spoon and Curvy Llama dated.
I didn't know that either.
But yeah, like
And Ciananders. Yeah. They all played together.
And he played with a lot with the Vanos group.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, like Haley, Weird Girl, who I don't know if it's a joke or if they actually are related to 407. But like, his wife, backing her up on this and all that stuff. Like they all, like a lot of people who are close to, who were close to Mini Lad and close to her, including like Sunny who had just broken up with Mini Lad recently and all that stuff. Like there's a lot of little things like that. And it's just, damn, man. But he's the reason why I found Beam when it was still a thing, and it blew my mind, the low latency, being able to type in chat and have the streamer like immediately read it.
Notice it.
That was nuts. How short the time on, because I remember the first time I saw him, like, Twitch isn't even close to this yet.
Yeah.
Like even when someone sets their thing to low latency, it's not even close to that close, like that timed.
I wonder if. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So I wonder if Mixer was just another way to test out their like cloud streaming platforms that they're dealing with, because they have all this infrastructure that they're trying to build for like the X Cloud, Project X Cloud. I wonder if that's just was kind of a test run, was using Mixer for a little while, and they would have kept it alive if they could have, but because they couldn't, they were just like,
Well, I mean, if you look at the growth during this stuff, while every other platform has jumped dramatically,
they've barely grown at all. We've heard that already.
I know. I'm just saying, it makes sense why they would have to close it after a certain point, because they're not profiting. So, and Microsoft has other stuff that they would rather invest in, and it makes more sense to invest in other stuff at that point if you're not getting. I don't think it was great how they did it, because how many streamers were left in limbo.
That's the saddest thing, seeing a lot of people that are kind of like, I've built my platform on Mixer, and now it's gone. Like, so now I got to start completely over again. And some people were actually banned off Twitch.
Yeah, there's
for stupid reasons, right?
Yeah, and like I was watching a video from Swift Entertainment, and she was interviewing someone who was banned on Twitch like 2 years ago.
Went over to Mixer. For something stupid.
Yeah,
she was
like she was mass reported the last time, like when she got reported for the third time, because the first one was that her friend was streaming and got banned, but she didn't have a verified email yet, because her first stream went like crazy. So she didn't verify her email or anything yet. So they didn't get an email why her stream was like gone. So then they streamed on her channel, and she got her first like temp ban, where she's like, oh, so they were banned from Twitch, so they weren't supposed to be on my stream. Which, I mean, that's a learning experience right there.
Yeah.
You learn that. And then she said the second one was because she was doing dancing for like Just Dance and stuff like that. She has a background in dancing and stuff like that. And apparently from what was the course was apparently was too sexual, but she's like, I've seen other people do the same thing though.
Yeah.
Or more. So like it was a weird line kind of thing. And she said it was probably because she was smaller. She was like 1,700 at the time. Then the third one was she got mass reported.
What was her name? Sorry.
I'd have to let me go to YouTube.
Because there was a lady recently that had this problem with Wizards of the Coast, where she was a Wizards of the Coast content creator.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, and she was just recently kicked out of the MTG stuff, right?
Yeah, and she was kicked out of the MTG stuff. She's been kicked out of the YouTube, the Wizards of the Coast content creator program. And there was no explanation why. The only thing that people could think of is because she either has a fan-only account,
Which
and
she does.
Yeah, which she does, or it's because the content that they make is quote unquote too suggestive, even though the Magic cards that they print are more suggestive in content than she is. So
yeah, and it's such a sort. And the person I was talking about is Lindsay Wood. She was she was top 5 female streamers on Mixer. Which, if Twitch was smart, they'd be like, okay, hey, so because apparently the person who got her banned because she banned him in chat, one of her mods banned him in chat. Got his friends together, mass reported her. She got banned, and then later he was banned, but her case was never looked back over.
You just gotta look at that case.
Yeah, exactly. Like from all the information I've gathered, I'm like, okay, that kind of looks like Twitch would be smart for Twitch to be like, hey, you're unbanned. You're obviously, hot shit over on Mixer. Bring that here.
But we're gonna just keep an eye on you.
Yeah.
Just keep an eye. If anything, just keep an eye on her.
We're gonna keep an eye. We're gonna keep an eye. you let's say you got like a 3-month window. Yeah, nothing bad. We'll be like, all right, you're good. You're clean.
Yeah, that's it.
Because she said she's learned a lot since then. She's learned how to culminate a community, how to grow, how to notice these things and prevent them from happening and stuff like that. So, she obviously learned from the experience and is better from it. So I don't see why not giving her a second chance hurts Twitch, in my opinion.
Looking at that mass report system, right? They should double check to make sure that everything made sense rather than just go, not just blind eye, oh, there's a bunch of mass reports. Screw it. We're not going to double check. Just get rid of them. That's it.
I'm trying to find the person you were talking about, Steven, because I do actually fall. There they are. Elizabeth Eade, yeah. Who was just... her bio is now not a very good wizard. Funny enough. Yeah, she had a lot of Magic the Gathering stuff. Funny enough, that's how I found her stuff, was through, because we just started to get back into MTG. And she popped up on my feed because, that's how algorithms work. And so I was like, oh, hey, that's cool. I don't know. It's just it's stupid shit like that. If people get banned or kicked out of stuff, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I just, Dev is a simp. Whatever, fuck off. Fucking blue. I'm the simp king. Got it. Yeah, no, it's just stuff like that. I want Twitch to also try to implement that latency thing. And not make it just a thing that partners can use, because I would love to be able to do that kind of stuff. Because, the fact that affiliates can't use co-op streaming thing yet. Can
they not? Not yet?
No! We still can't use it!
That's very surprising. I thought that was something that would have been implemented already.
Yeah, we still gotta use multi-link.
Gotta use multi-link. Khadgar. Just something.
No diss to multi-link, they're great, and they've been important to the industry.
Yeah, the first time I saw that, I was like, oh, this is sick. I can see both perspectives at the same time.
And then when you got 8 people playing together, and you're like, oh shit!
Yeah. My
Oh my
browser's
God.
lagging.
I mean, I've only ever done 3 people at once, and even then, I was like, "All right, you're 30 seconds behind this person."
Yeah, I can't do it. My OCD kicks in. I lose my mind. I'm like, oh no, it's not sync. It's not in sync. I can't do it.
No, yeah, that's
Even
the thing.
in squad, sometimes it does that where it's still not in sync.
Yeah, no. Twitch probably has the ability to do the little latency thing. I would kill for that because that's one of the things. Like for me, like when my stream has a moment of buffer, that gap just gets so wide after a certain point if it happens. Because again, Spectrum sucks.
Ooh,
If
Chromecast sucks too.
If that gap starts, man, my chat could be 5 minutes away from me, and I'm responding to something they said, and they won't get their response unless they refresh or wait that out. And I'm like, yikes. I don't know, man. Like, I'm really hoping that Twitch implements some of the stuff that Mixer had going for it.
I mean, they did. They took the channel point system.
Which isn't always applicable to some channels. Because I don't know what I want to do with channel points.
Did you guys? I forgot. Did you guys get the whole point or the sound effects thing from? Did you guys?
Yes,
set it up?
I use the bit sound effect board thing.
Yeah. Pretty nifty.
forgot.
Yeah. Well, there's points for sound effects, but I don't know how much of like CPU usage it is, but it's been pretty fun so far.
I like it, but I could see it being a problem if I was actually, like a big streamer and like 70 people all at once are doing voice commands, and it's like I can't hear the gameplay anymore.
It's just yeah all over.
Wow.
I can't do this.
Wow.
Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Make it stop.
All right, this is why we can't have nice things. I'm turning it off.
That would be me in a heartbeat. That's why I'm like legitimately one of the reasons why I haven't done it too is because I'm afraid because there's so many people with so many points in my chat.
Oh, it's gonna be a heyday.
Frankie and Monster alone would destroy me. Steven would murder me given the opportunity.
I'm playing Valorant and I can't hear anything.
Well, I got pissed off the other night. We were playing and Jay came in drunkenly into the Discord, and I'm trying. It was before we did our my first placement.
Matches?
Yeah, the first placement match I did. And we're just playing games, and I'm trying to get better. And Steven and Frankie keep irritating me for one reason or another to start that game. And then Jay's over here just talking, and I'm trying to be like, I'm trying to listen, please. I want to hear their fucking footsteps. Ah!
That was fun.
It was, well, I definitely, like, me and Steven had a moment where, like, I didn't understand entirely what he said, and I thought he was, because he was just saying, like, well, he was jokingly jabbing at, like...
I had mentioned, I literally had basically said, the only people we can blame is ourselves. If we were better, we'd never lose. And Dev was like, I don't suck! I suck!
But then I went 19 and, like, 12 I went 22 and 20 that game. Like, I started, like, my rage started to fuel me into being like, I can play better! Just spitting fire as I play, like, you all will die! Face my anger. I played way more aggressive than I've ever played before, hence why I died 20 times. But, like, the first half of that game, I went, like 12 and 7 or some shit. I was just angry playing. And by, like, the time when we flipped to defense, there was a moment where I went, all right, so Steven, I know I probably misunderstood, and I'm sorry, but hey, your comment fueled my rage to play well. So win-win, right? I'm an idiot who misunderstands things, but sometimes that works out. And it's just like, and during that entire time, Jay's just like, he'll be quiet, and I'll start listening, and I'll hear like hear a footstep or something. I'll be like, oh, and then he'll start talking. I'm like, Jay, please, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I need to hear. It is a 1v3 situation. Please. Dead. Ah!
Yeah. Jay, please, quiet. Somebody's.
Dead. Rage. It was great. Good times.
Fun, infuriating games.
Yes, exactly. So we do have one more serious topic to talk about before hitting what will be our end note. So news yesterday, or it was yesterday, correct? That it dropped, if I remember correctly. Yes,
Yesterday
July
or the day
12th.
before,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, July 2nd. Sorry, twos.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, Reckful passed away. Who has been huge on Twitch for years at this point.
Yeah.
Has been an industry lead. He took his own life, which is always tragic. And it always, for me, personally, it always puts things into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who deals with bipolar and stuff like that, like, it immediately makes me think about that kind of stuff because I've been there. I've been very open about it. You know, I was in the hospital for 72 hours when I was in Vegas. For that reason, because I was put on, you know, hospital watch essentially, and like, it's just it's hard, like, it's hard to like, not necessarily it's hard to talk about, but it's hard to like kind of wrap your mind around it because the amount of people that like he has influenced in his life,
Mm-hmm.
and how much he's like changed the face. Like I've run into him on both TwitchCons I went to. I ran into him briefly. I didn't really know who he was, but every time I ran into him, because usually it was that I ran into him while running into someone else that I was looking for. Every time the interactions were amazing because, you know, he you know, if, you know, they allowed me into the conversation, you know, we'd all have like a small conversation there and stuff like that. And he was, from my interactions, a very genuinely good human being. But he was obviously going through a lot, which, just, it's hard to know sometimes when people are going through that, which is why it's always, in my opinion, it's always good to reach out. Anytime I see someone on any social media that is like that seems like it's a reaching out kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I try to like send that message being like, hey, inbox is open, because I know that like if I was in that spot, that would make a world of difference to me, because it made a world of difference to me during that time when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
So and Tyler One, I think, hit on it a lot today. I think it was today's stream where he said that like if they give up and you give up on them, then there's no one left for them. If they give up and you don't give up on them and you try to help them, there's still someone there for them. Because, and that's how some of that stuff is, like with like my, if I fall into a manic depressed state, it's essentially the train careens off the canyon and falls into an endless canyon. Like like some people say like with their depression, you know, they hit rock bottom, and when I'm just dealing with depression, yes, that is the case.
Mm-hmm.
But if you mix in like bipolar with manic into that as well, it's just a careening. It's falling into an abyss at that point. There's no bottom to it. And that like the fact that I had friends, especially from Twitch, who were mostly from Twitch, who were reaching out, because I wasn't vocal on Facebook about it or anything. I didn't talk on Facebook. The only people I talked to were on Twitch at the time, Um, and so like having those moments of someone reaching out saved my life in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And Tyler said, from what Tyler one was saying, there were some people in his life who weren't that kind of people. Like a lot of the people surrounding him weren't like that, which sucks because he could still be here today. He should still be here today, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. He should still be influencing people. He should still be being a face of Twitch that you see on when you walk down, like TwitchCon 2021, you should be walking down and see one of the banners being him. Like, he should still be here today, in my opinion. Because, like, and that's the other thing, too, like, there are a lot of stigmas about mental health, especially with men. That, like, reaching out is weak. That being, like, allowing those emotions to be there is, bad or wrong. That, like, there's so many stigmas with it that, especially, like, he was 31 and, like, I would say, like, probably during his youth, like, mental health, like, awareness and stuff like that wasn't what it is today by any means. So a lot of that stuff was ingrained into someone like him, more than like from what I could gather, would be more than likely the case, because that's just how we were taught.
Yeah.
And it sucks because it's just like he should still be here, 100%, if he had the right support and just we took care of each other better. That's just what it comes down to.
This reminds me a lot of a couple years in college where, like, I was depressed. Everyone I was around was depressed. That's kind of just how it worked. When you hit the age of adulthood, you learn life sucks and everything becomes depressing.
The midlife crisis.
Yeah, basically. But it was really bad for my friend. Where, like, the last 3 years of my college, I remember just always being there for him, only because I was the only one there for him. And it was really depressing because it was hard. He's still my best friend today. And it's hard thinking about it because there were times when he legitimately told me that he had, like, plans to kill himself. And after long talks, eventually I managed to get him out of it. And it's like, it sucks that people feel this way,
Mm-hmm.
Like, they feel like there's nothing that they can do. So, yeah, like Dev said, he's a person you can talk to. I'm a person you can talk to if you need somebody to talk to. I'm sure Jim is a nice guy sometimes. He'll listen. So yeah, if you ever feel problems, if you feel sad, if you feel a lot more than sad, know that there are people out there for you, even if you don't think there are.
DMs are open.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like my personally, my inbox will always be open for that stuff from anyone that, even if the person was someone that, like, I've had disagreements and horrible like interactions with before. If it was something like that, I would open my inbox to them and be like, hey, because I've been there. Like, I have been at that point twice in my life where that seemed like the only option. One time, like, and I've talked about it more behind closed doors. I don't know if I've talked about it publicly much, but, like, there was one time where I attempted and one time where I went to a hospital to get help. Like,
I don't think you've talked about it on air. No.
Okay, fair enough. But, like from experience, like reaching out or having people who you could be like, hey, if you see this kind of stuff, be vigilant, and if you see it, if you reach out to me, it might help, kind of thing. Like, because there are certain things, like, for me, a key sign, yes, I make some self-deprecative humor, but if the only thing I'm doing is just not even, like, jokingly shitting on myself, but, like, just miserably like just being like, man, I am the absolute worst. I suck at everything. Kind of like attitude at things. That is like the key sign. Like, and like I try to recognize it myself as much as I can, and I've recognized it when I do. I'm like, okay, so I'm obviously going through something that I need to take these steps. But if my brain's also manic at the time, I don't notice it because my brain is just on impulse at that point. Like I'm just impulsive and depressed, which is a horrible combination.
Yeah.
Because your brain just does things. And having people reach out to you being like, hey, are you okay? Or having that option to DM someone and be like, hey, so like I'm not handling this okay. Is huge. And also resources. I brought up pleaselive.org hotlines and stuff like that. I also am dropping that. Oh shit, I had the wrong thing. Whoops. Hold on, sorry. Wrong link. There we go. But this has a ton of things for not just like mental health stuff, but a laundry list of like orgs and stuff like that can help you through these kinds of things. I mean, the one that saved me personally was also B.O.B. or was Bob was 1-800 the song by he was at TwitchCon Logic.
Come on, you know this.
I know this 100% because I mean that song legitimately saved my life because I was listening to it like once or twice a day just to get through things, and eventually called. I think probably because listening to that so much, and my brain finally went like, just you look where you are right now. Call. You need to call. And that's why I went to the hospital that time. And it's just like there are resources and there are people who will listen. And there are people who will reach out 100%. Like that is my big thing. It's just like as someone who's gone through it, like I don't want to see people go through what I went through during that time. Because at that time too, like where I was living and stuff like that, and who I was around, like people wise, wasn't healthy. I was in a very bad place, like that sense. And so it just like culminated into me not being able to get out of a bad relationship because my brain is fried beyond belief. And just like I careened off the cliff at Mach speed at that point, and it was going to end probably one way. If someone didn't like me talking to my dad about it and stuff like that, and I didn't reach out to people, and have people reach out to me during that time. So just there are people who are available to help. That's I feel like I'm gonna keep saying the same stuff.
It's understandable. It's a very rough subject in a sense. A lot of us have definitely lost someone due to those kind of situations and stuff, so it hits close to home. Yeah, I didn't think something was gonna hit me as hard as like Robin Williams.
Oh god, that one destroyed me.
That one destroyed me. And then to hear Wreckful, have it happen to him, or have him take his own life, that was another thing. Just because he's part of the streaming community. He was one of the first few people that I started watching, like when I was getting into Twitch, and to know that he tried to talk to people, he tried to get help, and it just didn't work out for him. He couldn't get out, couldn't find the light, right? So it's rough. Definitely a rough thing.
Oh yeah, Chester too. Yeah, no, that one was
Chester. Yeah, Chester was another one.
That one was rough. Go ahead.
I remember the Chester one only because of how I told other people about it. Like with Chester, this was the period when I was working in Phoenix as a door-to-door salesman.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was driving to work that morning, and I heard on the radio that he had passed away. And I thought about it and whatever, and I internalized it. And then at my job at the door-to-door sales thing, one of the things that they did to get people warmed up for the day, aka mind control them to thinking this wasn't a bad job, was they do like teamwork games in the beginning to like get you excited for the day and get you warmed up. And one of them was essentially a version of like Hangman meets 20 questions, where you'd write a name on the board and the person would ask, are they a boy, are they a girl, are they famous for sports or whatever. And one of the questions was, are they alive or dead? And I put they're dead. And nobody had known that Chester had passed away except for me that day. So, yeah.
It kind of proves that, like, no matter how successful you are,
Oh, yeah, no.
it doesn't mean it's not gonna make you happy.
Like for me, the Robin Williams one was the one that hit me the hardest out of all of them, like celebrity wise, because for me, like Steven, you saw the play I was in after you graduated. My character, I kind of over exaggerated, kind of like how he would over exaggerate. Like I was kind of all over, like when he would do a comedic character, like a Popeye sort of thing, or like someone who was very like animated. He was very animated with who he was. So the character I was Papa, and I was like, I kind of was like influenced a little bit by like Robin Williams because he is my favorite comedian still. And like I grew up watching The Genie. I grew up watching Flubber. With his more adult films as I grew older, I watched those as well, and it was just like he was a huge influence on my life. So when that happened, I was like, man, that was unexpected. And you know, like the fact that he was also a big nerd too was another factor. Like his daughter's name is Zelda. And if you don't follow her on Twitter, you're missing out, because she posts some funny stuff. And weirdly enough, one of the more sad but also kind of happy and like kind of, I don't know, a mixed bag of emotions was when those Instagram things where the things flip on your head character wise. She did the Disney one and Genie popped up. And she just kind of like, she looked at it, she's like, I don't know what I expected. Because like out of everyone that it could have been, of course, you know, it's her father. Like that was like, I saw that and it's like, you could see that, like, you know, there was joy, but there was also sadness, and there was a lot to it, because like, yeah, because there is a lot to that to a person's life. It's like, and like weird, like a thing for me, just like that I think about involving, it's just like one of my biggest fears is that I don't catch myself, or I don't I hide the signs from people, and I don't seek help and something like that if I fall into another moment like that, and it careens like it did last time, and there isn't anyone there to help, and I don't reach out, and there's nothing there. That's one of my biggest fucking fears. Because it's for me, it's a reality. Because from a medical condition standpoint, that is a health hazard I have. Because genetically, I got a brain disorder that doesn't allow, like, that doesn't chemically compute correctly. And with the fact that, like, you know, I had some stuff growing up that was troublesome, that, you know, didn't help my growth mentally, that, you know, I also deal with other, like, I have ADD as well, which is a different frontal lobe issue. So there are times where, like, if I'm and manic and ADD have similar symptoms. So sometimes it's tough to tell which one it is. And if I do the wrong thing to treat the manic, if I'm trying to treat it as though it's ADD, my manic could go through the freaking roof at that point. So, like, the fact that, like, there are certain things that, like, I have to be very well aware of. It's why I don't get belligerently drunk unless I'm around people that I know will, like, make sure I get home to a bed.
Mm-hmm.
It's why I don't drink alone. In the sense of that I'm not, like, I will never drink if I'm not streaming with friends or if I'm not out with friends. It's something I won't do because it's a downer on its own. So if I'm dealing, like, if my thoughts wander, and because alcohol and manic don't mix super well either, it's a fear I have to like keep myself in check with in a lot of ways, because I also know that there are a lot of people in my life that I wouldn't want to have to feel that, because I mean, there's my family, there's you guys, my friends, like, and I mean, even if it's small, I have a community of people that, like, show up to hang out, and even if it's small, I wouldn't want to like have them have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people to have to worry about that with me, because there's a lot of people that I care about, and I'm like, there's so many precautions that I feel like I try to take, and sometimes I fail. Like that in December there was an incident that kind of happened with someone, and I fell into a manic state and I didn't catch myself, and one night like 2 nights in a row I like was drinking excessively, but I was hanging out with friends on streams and stuff like that. But like after the second night I was like, you know what, for a little bit I'm not going to drink, because it's not good for me right now. Mm-hmm. It is unhealthy what I get at this during this mental health or during this mental state. And it's just, it feels like I put myself into a box a lot of the time, but a lot of times that box is needed because of it. I don't know. It's tough. I don't know how to explain it all sometimes.
We want to transition to another topic, or
I mean, yeah, I was trying to figure out a way to segue out of this, but I didn't prepare for that.
It's okay. I did it for you. We have now officially segued to a new topic.
Fair enough.
What is that topic you'd like to segue to?
Well, I haven't brought it back for a little bit. It's not a weekly thing like it used to be. I think it's just an intermediate thing, especially when I feel like we do need some more.
Before you do it, are you in the right setup?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like occasionally we do need lighter notes here and there. So
wacky
news story.
Good. Is it a HarHar podcast if there isn't like some kind of misstep somewhere in the production?
All right, I'll be checking that out, Bell.
Is it something you want to discuss on air, or is it something you can talk about later? Good way to question it. But while they're answering
so instead of Florida Man, which a lot of these ended up being a lot of time, we have Louisiana Man. Oh, sweet. I'll be checking that out shortly then. It's the hyena she drew last week that she showed off.
Yes.
Louisiana man faces charges for swimming in sporting goods store fish tank. Police in Louisiana were able to reel in a man captured on video swimming through a fish tank at a sporting goods store. Kevin Wise, which Man, that name. There's jokes. People used to jokingly call me Kevin because it would piss me off. Because funny enough, one of my bullies back in the day was named Kevin. So I really didn't like the name. So when I first read that, I'm like, oh, not surprised about the first name. Wise, I was like, really living up to that. That he plunged into an indoor aquarium at a Bass Pro Shop in Bossier City last week to follow through on a promise he made to followers on the social media platform TikTok. I said that if I got 2,000 likes, I would jump in the tank. And I got way more than that. And didn't want to be a liar.
At least he's a man of his word.
Yeah.
True. Did he get arrested? Was there a ticket? What happened?
He was charged with simple criminal damage to property and released on a citation to appear in court. So
Okay.
maybe a follow-up later. We've only had one follow-up with the katana dude.
Yeah. I'm just picturing like, all right, I'll stand. Judge comes in. All right, what are you in for? I swam in a fish tank.
Sir, why did you do it? I got more than 2,000
For
likes.
the views.
I had to do it.
For the vine.
For the vine.
But he's a man of his word. He followed through.
Dude,
I can't knock him for that.
Yeah.
But just, the amount of money he's gonna have to pay for just.
Hey, listen.
following through,
The
that
thing
crazy.
is, he got that many likes. He has a brand deal lined up.
That's true. They're more likely gonna help him pay off that ticket and maybe the coverage. Hopefully.
Maybe some aquarium company can help him out.
I just can imagine just like, all right, today's the day. I'm just gonna do it. Like,
how do you put yourself in that mindset?
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do to prep for that? I mean, like, all right.
Well, like Monday I have work, but Tuesday I'm off. Let's just go Tuesday. Let's just do it.
You know, do you put your time off? Like, do you plan it out? Being like,
I'm most likely gonna get arrested. Let's just request a couple days
2
off.
weeks off. Yeah.
do you make
So
sure
looking for a
do you make sure your boss is okay with it? Do you bring?
I'm gonna do something incredibly stupid. I might not be in work for a couple days. Be prepared. I might even end up on the news for all you know. Just be ready for it.
Dude, that's a conversation I'd love to have with one of my bosses. Be like, so I'm about to do something dumb. I may be on the news for it. I need a couple days off. Okay.
It depends. What degree of dumb?
Yeah, are we talking
not
murder?
not severe criminal charges.
No one else. Is
So
gonna get hurt, but
potentially
possibly
criminal
me.
charges, maybe.
Probably loitering. If I had to think.
I might need more hours from you because this is probably gonna be really expensive.
I'm gonna need time off, and then I'm gonna need overtime.
Yeah.
And I won't complain.
I'll be working for you for 16-hour days for the rest of my life.
What is he in prison?
No, I think he was let. He's just released with a citation, being like, "Hey, go to court."
That's awesome, but
Don't be
goddamn.
Yeah. Man, social media makes you do dumb shit.
I mean, I've done other dumb shit before. Like, I've done dumpster diving before, and that's illegal technically.
The dumb shit I did was okay. This is gonna make me sound. I was intoxicated at the time. Okay, hang out with friends at a bowling alley. We left. A couple of us went next door real quick to the Safeway to grab some liquor. Me and him walked back, and I bought myself a bottle of Bacardi Gold. We're walking there. We get back to outside the bowling alley. We're all hanging out there for a moment because we're getting ready. And all of a sudden, just out of the blue, my bag just ripped. Bacardi hit the floor. Goodbye. Well, preceding that, my friend was like, "Man, that sucks about your Bacardi. How about this? If you lick the ground, I will buy you a new bottle of it."
Ew.
But Dev was drunk and wanted to stay drunk.
I feel sick though thinking about in a bowling alley.
Outside. Asphalt.
Even worse.
I know. Trust me. Sober me was like, what the fuck were you thinking? Like, that's the thing. When drunk Dev takes the reins, sober Dev is like locked out of the control panel, the control room, and be like,
All right, Bruce
"No, stop!
Just took over.
You idiot!" So the next morning, it's just like, man, you stupid.
Yeah, you come out of the door that you've been locked in. You're like, is that shit on the wall?
it's Donald Glover walking into the apartment on fire, being like, shit. What do I do? So yeah, that was my dumb thing that I did for. I mean, I got a bottle of rum out of it.
It's not bad.
Well, at least the alcohol probably cleaned out whatever might have been in your stomach.
I mean, and obviously the ground was probably cleaned up too from the
Disinfected
alcohol.
because of it. Gross, man. Like, I'm thinking about it of all the possible.
I know. It's. I try not to think about it in that sense. More just in the sense that I did a dumb thing. That again, drunk Dev is just like willing to just keep drinking at costs that don't make sense. Just especially to sober Dev, I'm like, why would you do that? You idiot! Why? Where was the logic in that? We got more booze. No, that's not okay. That's not a good trade-off. But it costed money, and we lost money. I'm pretty sure that's how the conversation probably went afterwards in my head, as I went to sleep and woke up being like, I regret that.
Yeah. If I'm throwing up a lung later and just.
Oh yeah, that's how I put
why.
it. If I'm sick after this, we know why.
Yeah.
So, that's my dumb ass story of the day. With that,
yeah.
With that, I think we'll wrap up. Wear your masks. Black Lives Matter.
Be good to each other.
Be good to each other. Don't be a scumbag.
It's simple.
It's simple.
It's not hard to be a good
super
person.
Simple. It's super
That's it.
simple. Trust me. Reach out if you need to.
Yeah.
Post the link here. You know, I'll try to set up something below as well, so those are always there. So that those resources are there on the channel as well. And just drawing. Yes. The drawing. Let me pull that over here real quick. Am I capturing it? I need to capture it. Properties.
I like how Bell said it was up to us. Now it's like, wait, you have to do it. You have to show us.
I gotta find the right. Where's that chrome at? Should just be right there, right? That's not it. Why are only 2 chromes showing up?
Oh, my turn. Always gonna mess things up.
I'm just trying to find this thing. There's only 2 of my chrome. Like what? That's not it.
Technical difficulties.
Yay! I feel complete now.
It was bound to happen eventually.
If it didn't,
There
I
it
would've
is.
been a
Found it. All right, I
little
got it.
upset.
There we go. That's the drawn up version of it. It's pretty rad. Not gonna say. Not gonna lie. Not gonna say. Not gonna lie.
Oh.
Mhm.
So we had the color uncolored one from before. Sup nerds. Which through some means apparently might be a community thing now. So I'm cool with it. I think it's cool as hell too. That looks rad.
I now I want to see like a Grease remake of The Lion King. Like,
you know what? That's what they should have done with the live action. Give us the Cat's version of, but less.
Cat's version of The Lion King.
No, I'm joking, but more legitimate, like
More Broadway stage version.
No, I'm more joking on that as well. I'm more saying like, you know, I'd be cool with a Lion King Grease, what is South Side Story that's similar to that, if I remember correctly. South Side Story Lion King. That'd be fun. I'm in. Let's do it. Yeah. Be good to each other. Please. Just for everyone's sake right now. Please be good to each other. And have a great night. We'll see you
Take
next
care,
week.
folks.
Peace be with you.
And also with you.